Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Can I get a thumbs up if you can see the screen okay? Good to go. Wonderful. So thank you for joining us today. My colleague and I, Jessica Duncan, will be talking to you about the ARROW, which is Advancing the Recruitment and Retention of Our Workforce Retention Bonus. I'm going to pass it off to Jessica Duncan just to give us some background on the ARROW program, and then we'll talk more about the retention bonus.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Claudia. I hope everyone is staying warm on this very snowy day. I'm just going to take just a couple minutes just to give everyone, as Claudia said, just some background on this program. So this program, our ARROW program, is from the School-Based Mental Health Services Grant. So back in the fall of 2022, the U.S. Department of Education released a notice inviting applications to apply to a 5-year grant, and the purpose of this grant is to support the recruitment and retention of credentialed school-based mental health providers. OSSI and DBH and DCPS, and actually previously they had a Department of Education had a previous round of this. We had previously applied in 2020, but were unfunded at that point. But thankfully, in our fall 2022 application, that was funded. So OSSI has been awarded grant funds from January 2023 to December 2027. And locally, we are referring to this grant, as Claudia has already said, as the Advancing the Recruitment and Retention of Our Workforce, or ARROW. Next slide, please. So we have 3 really big buckets that fall into this grant work. As the purpose of the grant is to support recruitment and retention. Those are 2 really big components. But then really underneath all that, we have our ARROW program committee. So this is comprised of district government agencies, LEAs, DC-based institutes of higher education, and really those places where ARROW projects will be primarily implemented, to serve as advisory groups and points for us to check in to help ensure the successful development and implementation of this grant. Specifically for our purposes today, we're going to focus in on the retention piece, which is our initiatives that will include cadres and learning communities to support providers in their professional growth, skill development, and well-being as school-based providers. Next slide, please, Claudia. There it is. A little bit more detail on these retention projects, as I'm really looking to support our providers and really create sustainable programmatic structures to support the growth of our school-based behavioral health provider workforce. These include our first-year cadre, which is really intended to really support those folks who are in their first year of school-based work, and knowing that the school environment, doing this work in a school environment, is very much unlike all the others, wanting to give those folks a really strong start to help improve their retention and continuing on in working in school-based profession. Our workforce assessment to identify the challenges, needs, and strengths experienced by our DC providers. We actually did this back in the fall, so October 2023, with some focus groups in November 2023. We had a really high rate of response, so hopefully some of you were able to participate that. And we're really using the information from that to guide both the creation and the structure of our cadre, as well as the learning community, which you see as that 3rd bullet point. So this will be open to all our school-based behavioral health providers. And we're looking to our workforce assessment to help us determine what evidence-based practice or technical assistance sessions we should provide to all providers, what options we could implement for career advancement, as well as any peer-to-peer support to help build communities and foster individual provider well-being. But for our purposes today, we're going to focus in on this very last one, which is the disbursement of a one-time retention bonus to our eligible school-based behavioral health providers.
Thank you so much, Jess. Yes. So we're going to talk about that retention bonus. So this retention bonus is an acknowledgement of the tremendous commitment, that you all as our district school-based behavioral health providers have shown in supporting the students, families, and staff in our DC public and public charter schools. The one-time retention bonus will be for $1,000, and it'll be to all eligible school-based behavioral health providers employed by DC public and DC public charter schools, our community-based organizations that specifically participate in the comprehensive school behavioral health system, and our Department of Behavioral Health School Behavioral Health Program clinicians. Over the next couple of slides, we're going to talk about the application process and what that may look like. If you are having any questions that come up as we are going through those, you can either put them in, there should be an option for you to do question and answer, and we'll be monitoring those, or you can save them to the end and we can do questions then. So the first thing that we're going to have you all do is just confirm your eligibility. Those that are going to be eligible for this retention bonus must meet the following criteria. You must be employed as a school-based behavioral health provider, which is defined as a school social worker, a school psychologist, or counselor, and that can be a school counselor or a licensed counselor. You must be employed by either DC public schools that are serving pre-K 3 through grade 12. So this does exclude our adult learning centers, unfortunately. You must be employed by a DC public charter school also serving that same population, so pre-K 3 through 12, a DBH school behavioral health program clinician, or a clinician at one of our CBOs that is participating in the DBH Comprehensive School Behavioral Health Program that is also then placed in a DC public or public charter school serving grades pre-K 3 through 12. Also with this, you must have maintained full-time employment, which is an average of at least 32 hours per week, as a school-based behavioral health provider since October 31st of 2022. If you had any changes in your employment or any lapse in your employment, it cannot be longer than 30 calendar days, and this will also be subject to verification. So once you confirm that you are eligible, the next thing that we'll have you do is complete your Arrow retention bonus application. We will also make sure to, if you haven't already had the opportunity to access the application, we will drop all applicable links in the chat for you. But you must complete the Arrow retention bonus application form, and this must be done by close of business Thursday, February 29th, 2024. And we also do have some specific steps for our clinicians that are CBO employed or at our DC public charter schools. For you all, we need you to download the appropriate employment verification form for your employer. So for CBOs, you'll have one, and then also for our charter schools, you'll have a different one. They're labeled on the Arrow website. We'll also drop that link in there for you as well. Once you get your employment verification form, you'll have someone from your human resources department at your school or your place of employment fill out that form and sign it, and you will attach this form to your retention bonus application. Again, this is just for our staff that are hired by a CBO or a DC public charter school. And then upon your completed application and verification, you will be approved if you meet all of the eligibility requirements, and you'll be contacted to complete next steps. If we find you eligible, you'll get an eligibility letter. If you appear to be eligible, but there's something that might be wrong with your application, you'll be getting a letter to let you know what your application might be missing so that you have time to rectify. Or if based on your paperwork or your application, we found that you are not eligible, you'll be getting a letter to let you know that you were found ineligible and the reason why. If you think that there are any issues with those, you can always email us at ossie.hydt@dc.gov. So once we've gone through the application and you've received your eligibility letter, you'll also be getting information about the next step. And again, this is strictly for our CBO and charter staff. We have to register you into our DIFS system, and that is the District Integrated Financial System. This is the system that is used to disperse payment to non-district government entities. If you have ever participated maybe in a cadre or a cohort of some sort at OSSI, you might already be familiar with DIFS. if there was a stipend involved, because that is the system that is used to pay out, that will be used to pay out the retention bonus or any type of reimbursement if you participate in any activities. So once we found you eligible, you will be contacted by us to make sure that you complete any required forms that go with your DIFS registration. And we will also be using the information that you provide in your application to get this registration for you. And once that is completed, you'll be notified by OSSI staff as well that you are loaded into DIFS, and we will have you then log into the portal. And from there, you can input your preferred banking information for direct deposit of your retention bonus. I do ask at this step that you do be patient with us, because it will be individual staff that will be uploading your information and going through the process of getting your DIFS registration completed. And this does take time, unfortunately. But once that's complete, you will get notification. You can log into the system. And again, we do encourage you to fill out the form for direct deposit, because that will allow for easier tracking of your payment. And you will get it quicker. But if you do not, you will just get issued a check, which is also fine. The next step, so once you are in DIFS, everything is good to go. You will be sent a MOA, which is a memorandum of agreement. Again, this is for our CBO and our charter staff. So once your application is submitted, approved through DIFS, and completed, we will send you a MOA for your review. We ask that you review it and sign it and return it to that email address that is on this slide, ossi.hydt@dc.gov, within 10 calendar days. And we'll make sure to note when your due date is. This MOA just states that you agree to the terms and conditions of this one-time retention bonus, and then we can disperse your one-time retention bonus for you. For our staff members that are with DBH and with DCPS, the process for you all is a little bit different because you are DC government agencies. Your respective HR departments will be able to confirm your employment and verify you that way to make sure that you are eligible. And they will also be using their payment systems to disperse your retention bonus. So it'll be a part of your check when that is dispersed. Again, this is the government. It does take time. So there are processes that both DBH and DCPS will have to do for your check disbursement, but it will happen through your HR department. And then what is next? So after we've gone through all of those key steps, there are several administrative procedures and processes that we'll go through on our end to review your documents before payment will be distributed. Again, as I mentioned before, for DCPS and DBH staff, your HR departments will be in charge of verifying your employment and dispersal of your retention bonuses via your payroll processes. This will take several weeks, so we do ask that you are patient with us during this process. But if you do have any questions, you always have the option to email us at the ossi.hydt account. And once this is all complete, you can expect to receive your retention bonus via check or a direct deposit. And with that, we thank you for your time, and we would love to open up the floor for any questions. I do see in the Q&A that there's a question to please clarify again. If we work for DCPS, we can submit the ARROW application without an employment verification form. That is correct. So if you are DC government employee, so that's DCPS or DBH, you do not have to enter the employment verification form. And there's actually a consistency check within the application. So if you do highlight that you are employed by one of those organizations, that option will actually go away for you. Are there any other questions? Okay, so the first thing is, what's the catch? There is no catch. We appreciate you and the work that you do. And, you know, in the presence of getting these funds, we just wanted to make sure that you feel that level of appreciation, because oftentimes our service providers are left out. Is there an expectation to stay with the current employer once the bonus is received? There isn't any expectation for you to stay with the employer, but you do have to be there when the funds are dispersed. Will the bonuses be taxed? The ones that are coming from us will not be taxed, but there is a W-9 form that you'll have to fill out once we get to that disregistration. So you can report it to the IRS and be taxed on the back end. How many years you have to be employed with DCPS? So the cutoff date for the retention bonus is October 31st, 2022. So you have to have been employed by or before that date to receive the bonus. Let's say you might have come on with DCPS after that date, but you were employed maybe at a charter through DBH or a CBO or just as a charter staff. If you started before that date and had no more than a 30-day lapse, you are still eligible for the retention bonus. You will just have to get a verification of employment form from your previous employer. Okay. I am so sorry. The questions are coming fast. Let's see. Do principals verify the applications for DCPS? No, that'll be verified through your human resources department. Will taxes be taken out? I do believe because they'll go through your payroll for DCPS and DBH, taxes will be taken out. I will double check and we'll add that to our frequently asked questions because that is something that I have not had clarified, but I do believe taxes will come out. We will make sure that for all of you all that are here, we'll share the PowerPoint. We're also recording this session. So you will be able to go back and watch. But again, for Anne, since you were late, if you do have any additional questions, please make sure you throw them in the chat and we'll do our best to answer. For clarification purposes, is this only for first-year school-based workers? No, this is for workers who have had over a year in their position. So if you have started on or before October 31st, you have been a school-based behavioral health provider for at least a year, and that is the cutoff for the retention bonuses. Is there any way to consolidate applications for a CBO? We have about 21 active eligible staff members and would love to stream. Note, each of your employees that would like to apply will have to do it on their own. I will say this, and we can actually show you the application. It is very short and very easy. But because you do have 21 active and eligible staff members, I would just encourage you to let your HR department know so that they are ready to sign off on those verification forms, which are also very short. What if during the year of 2022, 2023, you switch between DCPS and DBH? Because those are both government agencies, we will be able to confirm that timing through your application. There are questions on there so that you can let us know where you were and how you switched. And if you haven't been gone for more than 30 calendar days, you should be good to still get the retention bonus. Do public charter school workers have to fill out a different application? No, you have the same application as everyone. You do have the added step of the verification form, which is also in the chat. Just added it to the chat for you all. If you go to the Arrow webpage, you will be able to see the verification forms there. You can download them, share them with your HR personnel. They'll fill it out, send it back to you, and then you attach it to your application as you are completing it. Where do I send my application once HR signed it? It is attached to your application. So I'm getting a lot of questions about that. Let me actually pull up the application so you all can see that. Can you guys see my screen okay? We can see the application, hopefully so. So this is what the application portal looks like, and this is what you'll see when you log in. If you are, excuse me, a charter or a a charter or a CBO employee, if you right-click this link here, it'll take you directly to our Arrow website, and if you scroll down, you will find the verification forms there. This is the application, so we are getting some background demographic information, your address, and then you'll fill out your employer information here. If you indicate that you have worked at a CBO or DC public charter school, it will trigger this portion of the application here, and this is where you will upload your employer verification form. Does someone need to be assigned to a specific school site in order to receive if they meet other criteria? So you do have to be a school-based clinician attached to a school that is providing services to your school. If you are, I know some of our CBOs and some of our DBH folks might be considered tier 2 and you're split between 2 schools. That's okay. We just need verification of that. And you can do 2 verification forms. And again, have that signed by your HR person, just verifying you are at this place and this place. But you do have to be school-based and providing services in schools. If you are a part of the school behavioral health team, but you're maybe a clinical supervisor and are not providing school-based services, you are not eligible. At the end of the application, I don't see a submit button. How do we submit? You hit save. And then after you save it, it should be a submit button. It should pop up right here. I'll have to put in a bunch of stuff and test it out really quickly just to make sure. But I believe I've done this application several times. It is up here with the save, and then you can submit. Once you've gone through all the consistency checks and have everything inputted, it will let you submit. Yes, the employment verification form, I actually, since we are talking about, I'll take you so you can see it on our website. Let me just go directly to the Arrow site. So when you're on our Arrow site, if you scroll down here, you'll see we have both of our verification forms. You'll click it. You can download it and share it with your human resources personnel. So this does have to be recent. This is a part of the application, and this is the only verification that we will accept. Oops. Is DCPS going to consider this consider this out hard to fill bone? I'm not quite sure what that question means. If you can clarify, I will get to it. Will it be a separate disbursement from our regular pay? This will be a part of your regular pay. I'm not 100% sure if it'll be its own check or if it'll be attached to your check. That's one of the questions that we have that we're trying to get further verification for. Social workers qualify as long as we have an LICSW. That is correct. So for school-based social workers, you can have an LI or an LG. A lot of our charters and our CBOs do hire at the LG level. And if you do have a LG, you also are eligible. You just have to have met that start date requirement. Just to be clear, all DCPS employees, you do need to submit this application. Yes, yes, yes. So even though your verification will be done through your human resources department, we do need you to submit the application. You just have that one less step. If they start at 8/1/23, are they able to apply? No, the cutoff date is October 31st, 2022. The application, we have a link in the chat already with the application. And once we're done, I'll make sure to send an email to all of you with the applicable link so that you can find the application if you can't find it in the chat. Thank you. There is a frequently asked questions page at the very bottom of the website. So some of the questions that you all are asking can also be answered via that FAQ. I encourage you all to check it out. But again, if we have missed something, you can always email us at osi.hydt@dc.gov. And again, Jess has thrown in the application link several times and the web page. Yes, you do have to have the verification form signed before you complete the application. You cannot upload the application without it. Now, you can start it and save it and return back to it, but it's a really quick and easy application. I think for ease of submission, I would just get that form done and then do the application. And you have a month and some change to get it done. Oops. If they start at 123, are they able to apply? No. Again, that start date is, you have to have started by October of 2022, the last day of October. Let's see. When submitting employment DBH and DCPS, it populates a verification form. No, it does not. You do not have to submit a verification form. It should not come up. Well, I'll do a couple of tests once we get off of this to make sure, but that is good to know. Okay, so when filling out the form but waiting for verification, it does not let you save. So I'm wondering if you did. So if you click here, if it doesn't let you save, again, the application is really short. I'll check it again just to make sure, but it should let you save and return. But if not, I definitely recommend completing the verification form or getting that done. We've actually had several applications already, and it's pretty quick and easy. For senior clinical managers, if they have been on the team longer than a year and have supported multiple sites intermittently as needed, would they be eligible? For our clinical managers, you are only eligible if you are our service provider. So unfortunately, the retention bonus does not extend to our supervisors and our managers. It is for our active and clinicians that are actively seeing cases and doing clinical work at the tier 1, 2, and 3 level. Can an internal administrator complete the verification form, or is it specific? So if you're a DCPS person, you don't have to worry about the verification form. The only people that need to worry about those are charters and our CBOs. Sheree, can you please email us afterwards? I see your question that you hit save and you received a message saying the record was saved, but then the information was removed. We will have to look and see if we have a record for you. And then the last question that I see is, how do we submit it without the verification form if we work for DCPS? If you work for DCPS, you do not have to submit a verification form. Once you select on the application, and I actually show you since I have it as a charter here. So if you select DC Public Schools, that section goes away. So there isn't even an option. You do not have to submit a verification form. I think we have made it through all of the questions. Sure. Someone wants to see it with DBH. Again, you put in DBH and that question down here goes away. But if you identify that you are a charter school employee, we see that you have the option to upload 1 or 2 employment verification forms. It just only allows me to save and not submit if I work for DCPS. So if you do your complete application, you should be able to submit once everything is done. So this does have a consistency check for all the required information. So it may not let you submit if you haven't put everything in. You can only, okay, due to the transition between DCPS and DBH. So for this one, we want your current employer. So if you are currently at either DCPS or DBH, put your current employer, but there are additional questions where you can talk about if you transition, and you can put in your transition dates. So I think we might have hit all the questions, and we are also at time. We want to thank you all for your participation. We want to thank you all for your service. We want to thank you for those wonderful questions. Again, you have the links, you have the website. I will also be making sure to send you the PowerPoint for your reference, along with all of the links for everyone that joined us today. And if you have any questions, you have our website, our email address where you can reach out to us. And we look forward to getting you guys this free money. Thank you, everyone.